Well, gentlemen, let's get right into the opening salvo, and that is talking about the ROG Ally, or the ROG Xbox Ally and the ROG Xbox Ally X. These consoles are coming out this year, later this year. We don't have a specific release date. We have a release year. It's safe to admit or think that it's going to be holiday of 2025. Though I think we might get a release date at something that you have already admitted that you're going to, and that is Gamescom, which happens at the end of August. There is a chance
August 20th to be exact.
Yeah, August 20th to be exact. So it is going to be in the third week of August, and you're going to be there. And Xbox was there in a big way last year. They're going to be there in a big way this year, not only in presence, but obviously they're celebrating the 10th anniversary of Xbox Fan Fest, and they're doing it in one of the biggest places, and that's Gamescom. Sadly, I thought it was going to be maybe in Seattle later this year at PAX Prime. Turns out that's not in fact the case. But listen, anyone that's going to be going is going to be celebrating, and what a way to celebrate the 10th year anniversary of Fan Fest and be at Gamescom in a big way, than to not only show off your, partnered handheld, but give a release date, which that would be a big deal. But gentlemen and chat, one of the things that happened early this week, we had a leak. And that leak suggested that the European pricing equated to $1,050 US for the Xbox Ally X, which is the big boy. And a lot of people freaked out. And, look, I've talked to a couple people behind the scenes, and some people I talked to said the numbers don't always match, meaning that what the European number is doesn't go one-to-one with what it is in the U.S. But speaking with Kay Asante, who does know his handhelds, the ROG Ally X right now is $899 at Best Buy. It's $900 without tax.
That is tariff adjusted. I have to remind people. I always have to put the caveat in. It is tariff adjusted because before the tariff came to adjust it, it was $799, an $800 device. Now it's $800, $899, a $900 device. $100 difference after the tariffs. So,
and it's already $899 in euros, right? So,
yeah.
So again, what I wanted to do is I wanted to give once again a shout out to Jez Corden of Windows Central. Obviously, he's a phenomenal journalist, and he was right on top of this. And shout out to Paris Lily, who actually posted about it regarding exactly what I said. The number's not always one-to-one, and he sent a link to Jez's article, which we have in front of us. And I'm just going to read the title. I've already talked about this with Fuzzy on Monday's show, but this is a big topic, and I wanted to kind of pull the opinions of the professionals, and that of course is Kay Asante and Hargi Chani. They know their business, they know their tech. It says the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X prices may have leaked, and if true, according to Jez Corden, it's not as bad as I thought. Now, Kay, I want to go right to you first, because this goes right into the conversation that you and I had this morning on what we like to call the Xbox Morning Drive, which we have to somehow get syndicated, ladies and gentlemen, because it was a great conversation. And we're going to kind of further that conversation. Why is the potential $1,000 price tag to this thing not bad? Because again, that kind of, I was a little taken aback by Jez's opinion. But then you broke it down for me, and it made sense.
So, okay. First and foremost, if you get a sticker shock, right? If you get sticker shock about the price, that's not something that you should feel bad about, right? Because there is definitely a problem in marketing here, right? These are all cars, but not all cars are the same. You know what I'm saying? They all have wheels, but they don't all go the same places and they don't go as fast, right? There's a lot of differences here, but clearly they're all being posed on the same level, and because of that, the sticker shock is valid, right? But the reason why Jez says that it is less than he thought it was going to be is because historically, and this is a quick background, historically, what we're talking about here is the ROG Ally, right? That's what this device is. It's the ROG Ally. And this device is coming out with Xbox is their version 2, right? Let's take a cynical look at it. I know we've seen all of the talk of how they came together and collaborated and whatnot, right? Let's say that for the sake of this conversation, that they didn't do all that. They just built another one and then Microsoft put their sticker on it, right? Needless to say, that device with the chipset that's in it would average for about $1,500. And we know this because there are other devices out there who have the same chipset variant, right? Now, there are 2 chipsets. We're talking about the big brother that AMD puts in their laptops, right? Which smaller handheld makers also buy at wholesale and put in their devices, right? Those are the ones that sell on Indiegogo and all those things. And then they make a variant of that chip and they call it the Z1 Extreme or the Z2 Extreme, and those go to ASUS and those go to those other places, right? So you always know what the Z2 or the Z1 will be like because their big brother is already in the market, right? They usually modify one of the big brothers, and that's what they call the Z1, Z2, right? So we already have handhelds out in the market that run this chip that eventually we will have with this in this Microsoft device, right? The only difference is that one coming out will have a little bit of AI, which we're not sure what that will bring to the device because that's the unique feature there. But needless to say, we already know roughly what the power level will be and all of that. We have a rough idea of what it looks like. And on average, that device is $1,500 today, right? Now, let me be clear. When I went to the showcase in June, we get a chance to speak with folks, this and that. We heard it on background that, hey, they might be a very aggressively priced. They're looking to very aggressively price these devices, okay? Giving you a device that right now today, the ROG Ally X that's on Best Buy shelves today in America, tariff adjusted is $900. Giving you another device at roughly the same price point, but with a 30% GPU uplift, like far more performant and as it can be told, far better optimized so the 80 watt hour battery goes even further. Like that is aggressively priced because they could have easily gotten away with $1,200-$1,300 because, again, like I said, for those of us who play in these waters, that thing, the Z2 chip, is on average $1,500, right? And then people would say, well, I thought there might be some subsidization, this and that, and what's happening there. I don't, and I can't tell you like definitively if there is or isn't, but from my speculation, I would imagine that even if there is no subsidization, which we've all heard them all but say that there will be no subsidization basically because of, the market conditions and all of that, right? Microsoft as an entity themselves commands a lot of respect in this market. When they go to AMD and they go to their the chip vendors and the RAM vendors and the hard drive vendors, and they say, hey, we want to buy your stuff wholesale, they get very good pricing because this is a customer that historically has been able to move at last gen or recent gen, at least 30 million units, right? So you get a darn good discount, a discount that ASUS probably won't get, right? Because no matter what we say, and we don't know that for sure, ASUS most likely moved single-digit units as far as millions, if that, of all their devices. And we know for sure that Microsoft has sold around 30 million units, if not more, right? So if you're a customer with Microsoft and you walk in the room, you're not getting that chip, and I'm making up numbers here. You're not getting that chip for $10 a chip. Maybe you're getting that chip for $4 a chip because Microsoft is there with their wholesale pricing, right? That's that strategic partnership that we're talking about. So how is it that they can offer the same device at roughly the same exact price, only year over year with all those increases? Because probably ASUS, it costs them less to make the chip. It costs them less to get the chip in-house because Microsoft is helping them as a strategic partnership. Now, will that lead to like console-like parity pricing? That's where I say you are right to be upset or disappointed, and it is their fault that you are where you are. it was never their job to like unrealistically set the expectation that these devices could be like as performant as they are, and they are $500. They set that console expectation. So now when people look in the market and they see, well, I got a Switch and I got this other handheld and they both play games, why is it that this one's $900 and why is that one, $300? Because the Switch is a toy car. The other one is an actual car that can take you places. They both have wheels, but they do different things. But again, it's not your fault for comparing the two, because for a long time, these guys have been mispositioning them to the customer and hiding their subsidization, making it seem like you get what you pay for. You've been getting a damn good deal for too darn long, is basically the TLDR of it. And that's why console prices, now you're going to see that go way up. You're just going to see it. It is. You saw it with the PS5 Pro, right? If you see a PS5 Pro cost you $700 and change, do you think a PS6 will be 5 or 4?
No, it's probably going to be 8 or 9.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the market conditions demand it. And by the way, as the console market shrinks, because that's what's happening at this point, it's not that it's shrinking, but it's solidified. Those who want one will get one. Right? So they're going to make sure that if you like it, it'll be available for you. But at the end of the day, the world where we used to get those wonderfully priced consoles that just kind of were like, oh, you just buy it and it's just, intuitive and it gives you everything you need at that, I don't know, $299, $300, $399 price point. Yeah, that's a world that's I don't think we'll ever come back to. Right. So unfortunately, like the long and short of it is, if you play in these waters, in these handheld waters, the hardware they're giving you justifies even more of a price point than this rumor. I don't now, and let me be clear, that's not me saying, oh, be happy about it. That's not me saying that. My sweet spot for all of these devices is the high end should be no more than $799, and the entry one should be no more than $650 max. Right, so $599 for the low end, for the entry level, and $799 max for the high end. Right, but of course, all that is pre-tariff adjusted pricing. After tariff, the T word gets thrown around, it's all in the sauce. Who knows?
Yeah,
right?
You know what? Could you do me a favor?
Yeah.
You had made mention of a sales number for the ROG Ally X, and it's not as high as some people actually might have thought that this thing was. How many sold in total?
So and shout out to those who like to hang out in our Discord. You'll know what I'm talking about. We in our Discord, in the GCP Discord, have this back and forth debate where we're deciding on whether or not, and some think it will, some think it won't. And I guess you guys can all deliberate and tell us your thoughts on it as well. But this device, again, let's be cynical about it, right? And let's say that Microsoft's contribution is just a sticker. This device is a 2.0 ROG Ally of the ROG Ally that was before it, right? And price-wise, it's in spitting distance of the previous, right? Same at the high end, same at the low end. And the Gen 1 of the ROG Ally X sold 455,000 units. And now I'm being told that the newer device, which has way more capabilities than the first one did, and it's the same price, but because it got a sticker on it that says little logo, now it ain't gonna get to the 450. I don't know about that. I think that it will sell more. If the first one sold that much, the second one will at least exceed that amount. And why do I say that? Because there's more in the tank with the device, and it's the same price point as the initial one. And there's a lot more to enjoy about the device. They've actually have a software layer that actually is working with it rather than against it now, right? And they come at it with a better battery life from day one rather than messing it up and having to mea culpa later, right? So all signs point in the direction of giving you more benefit for the same price point. Right. And if that first one sold 455 There's no reason why the second one won't, unless there's an anti-Xbox sentiment out there or whatever. I actually think, well, yeah, I actually think that them putting, even if it's a cynical take where they're putting the sticker on it, them doing that will get more eyeballs on it, because now Xbox faithful, you know, people think that they don't exist, but there's at least 30 million of y'all. So I hear, right? Xbox faithful will now look at that because, hey, it's got that logo that I like. Whereas before it had that logo on it that you like, it would have been only in my realm because I buy handhelds, whether they got those logos on it or not. Now they got me and they got you. So there's a more of a chance that it'll sell more than 455K. That's my thought.
Well, it's great points all around, as always. Hargi Chani, $1,000 asking for a lot of people, and I think Kay broke it down in a great way. The sticker shock, especially in 2025, is shocking. I think Kay, he may have made mention of it, and I didn't hear didn't hear him say it, but I think when we were talking earlier, he mentioned something to the effect about us as gamers being conditioned. Console gamers are conditioned to pay $500 for a console. I mean, look, Nintendo put out what is equivalent in power, and it's a great console, by the way. I love my Switch too. I'm not even going to apologize for doing that. And tomorrow, holy crap, Donkey Kong Country. I say country, Donkey Kong Bonanza.
91 on OpenCritic. 91 on OpenCritic.
Well, there you go. I'm very excited. I cannot wait to get it for me and Tyler. I'm going to be playing all night. But that was a $500 console, and it has the power of a PlayStation 4 Pro. So $1,000 for this handheld that, in fact, can be docked. I think that gets lost in the conversation. People just look at it as a handheld. You will be able to actually dock this thing and play it on your TV, and it's going to be the equivalent power of at least a decent PC. What are your thoughts on the? And again, this is a leak, so take it with a grain of salt, for you folks. We still don't know the official number. Do you personally think the 1,000 is worth it?
I don't think it's going to be 1,000. So,
okay. Awesome.
So first, I want to point out that in general, when companies put things into their ERP system, there's a lot of copy pasting. Okay. So that may not be the official price. It may be the official price. We don't know. Okay.
Right.
But in general, companies are getting ready to put stuff into their systems. If they don't have the price, they just copy the old SKU, paste. It brings the price with it. Okay. And that might get somebody might capture it while it's in that little state where they haven't cleansed out the pricing. That happens. Okay. So that may not be official at all. Now, the current box is €899 in Europe. And the current box here is $899 USD. So if I were to just take that, I'd say, okay, if it's $899 over there, it would be $899 over here. That's tariff adjusted, or maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But no, I don't think it's going to be $1,000. Now, here's the other problem, right? No matter what you do, you have to look at the market you're in. Why was the Series S $300? Because there's a Nintendo Switch. That's $300. And though PlayStation says, "Oh, they're not our competition," Xbox clearly, when you were in the cases that they were in, the FTC case, the CMA, they clearly saw Nintendo and claimed it as a competitor. And they said, hey, if a mom or pop goes into a store and says, I need a console to play games, they can pay $300 for Nintendo. They can pay $300 for us. Right? That was their claim. That's how they put it. So are they going to look at the market and say, okay, well, Nintendo has now set the bar at $450. Should our low-end box be $450? Maybe it should be $500. Okay. I don't know. I think they're still going to look at that. However, they're also not going to take a bath anymore. That stuff's gone. Yeah,
you've kind of really driven that point home many times. You feel that the old ways of losing money up front per console
that's gone.
Is pretty much a done deal.
That's gone. So they might do it at cost. That's a possibility. But you also have to understand this is not them doing it. It's right. ASUS. It's not just straight Xbox. Is Microsoft going to write a check for every one of these devices sold? I highly doubt it. So it's going to be pretty much either ASUS gets like a small profit, or they have to somehow figure out that profit margin and cut the costs they can, a la doing better deals with their component manufacturers like AMD, but many others. There's plenty of the little components that go into these things, right? And say, how can we cut costs there? The other part, if you notice over here, it's you can only buy those through Best Buy. And that's probably a retail deal where they're like, we can't give you 30%. It's not fiscally feasible. And therefore we're going to cut a deal with you. You'll be the only one providing it. Therefore you'll get the biggest volumes, whatever that 400, however many of that sold in the US, right? They get the full volumes of that. For that, we're going to give you 20% or 18% or 15% or whatever the number is. We also know that when you buy consoles, those retailers are not getting 30% either. So when you buy a PlayStation or a Nintendo or an Xbox, yeah, they're probably lucky to get 10%. They really cut those down. So it's not as big of a cut to the retailer. That may be something that Xbox employs here and says, hey, no, this is an Xbox. So, hey, we want the same deal, right? We'll put it everywhere, but it's going to be a 10% or it's going to be a 5% or whatever it is. That gives them leeway to cut that cost, right? It gives them ability to take that price, make it, come down. They're going to leverage things like this. That's what they're going to do. They're going to try to make it as cost effective as possible. And that would be aggressive pricing. I just don't see a world where they try to subsidize it. I think those days are over, especially given the mandates they're getting from the top. Hey, you need to have this X amount of profitability. I can't see them doing it. They're going to say, no, you got to pay, whether it's at cost for the Xbox side of it, but a little bit of profit for ASUS, because of course ASUS has to get something out of this, right? They're not going to just do this for nothing. They need to make money. That's the reason they would go into it. So they're going to have to play those numbers. I could see $700, $800, the $799, $800 like thing. I could see that. I could see that being a price. If they're really, really able to push it, maybe get it to $750, $700 at $700, like what Asante was saying, that is a steal for what you're getting. That is a steal. That is a fantastic amount of power capability. Bro, for $700
at $800. That's a steal. Like, holy crap.
Deal, right.
But
remember that they
deal.
have, remember they have the lower tier box, and that's why they have that lower tier box, right? I still think they try to target a 500 for that. If they can get to that 450 to match the Switch, that's great. But I think they're going to try to target that. Steam Deck is $400. Let's remember that's another competitor, right? So you have that already. I think they're going to try to stay in that range, that $400 or $500 for that lower tier box. And again, they're going to have to just play those games, just try to get that best deal they can. And there's a give and take for the increase the cost, maybe you get more money, but you decrease the cost and increase the volume, you get more money that way too. And that's beneficial to everybody involved, right? The retailers want that because it gives them more volume. Volume is where they make money. They want to make money on volume sales. That's the way it goes, right? Shorter amount of profit, but you get that much more volume. That makes it better for you, right? So they want to do that. Certainly ASUS wants to make money. Certainly Microsoft wants to get more consoles out there. I think that's the thing they're going to look for. And everybody knows this game. Everybody knows this game. It's the same, right? So I think that's what they're going to try to push here. I think that's why the labeling of Xbox matters. So we're going to see what they do with that. And so I would say it's in that range. This is just all my guesses, right? I'd say they're going to still try to compete with the Switch 2. They're going to try to compete with that Steam Deck and say the lower tier is in that range, $400 or $500, that range. Higher tier, $700, $800 if they can push it. $900 is realistic. I think that's a realistic target. But if they can get that $700, $800 in that range somewhere, oh my God, that is a steal. It's a really good deal. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, I don't care. That's $800 out of my pocket. You're right. But go buy a laptop that does ROG Strix. You're not getting away with $1,500 or less. It's just so expensive. So it is what it is, what you're getting out of it. Now, this isn't a ROG Strix full power. It isn't. We should be clear about that. ROG Strix is going to give you more power. Absolutely. This is a pared down version. Fair enough. It's still very powerful. It's still going to do a lot of things that's pretty crazy for what you're getting. And unfortunately, I'm just going to have to like keep reiterating, get used to it. I don't think your next gen Xbox is going to be much cheaper than that. I don't think your PS6, if it comes, is going to be, $500. It's not going to happen. Your PS5 Pro is an indication of where things are going. It's $700 without a disk drive, without a freaking, the stand. You have to go buy all the things yourself. I just think that's where they're going. And so I would not be shocked if PS6 is $700-800. I just wouldn't be shocked. So kind of just get used to that. I still think that low tier will be there for you if you want to pay less and still have portability, have all the features. You're not going to get the same level of performance, but you're going to get something good enough. If you want that performance, though, yeah, I think you're going to pay. I think realistic $900 is realistic, but if they can push that $700-800, that is crazy good. That is a fantastic deal. So if they push it, that'd be awesome. So we'll see. But I think on that low tier, they're going to want to come in and say, we compete with the other models that are in the market right now, which is Steam Deck to Switch, right? To what they're going to put out there. They already have ROG Ally. What's the current ROG Ally lower tier? Is that $400 or $500?
Yeah. They're actually $650, I think it is, tax adjusted or whatever.
Now that's the original. So there were two. There was the ROG Ally, which I have, and then there was the X afterwards. So there's been two.
Well, there was the white one also had the Z1 Extreme version and a normal, and now they have a black version, which is the Ally X, and they still have the white one as well.
Okay, it's $500. The lower tier is $500. Okay. So yeah, I still think they try to do that. And again, if that's what ASUS can sell it for, I think Microsoft can work their magic to try to get that to $450 to match the Switch, and that would be a fantastic idea. Because then it's the same thing they were with the original Series S and the Switch. You can walk into a store, you can pick the Nintendo or the Xbox. It's the same price. That's what they want to get at, right? Because then they literally are competing. They're saying, hey, we're competing exactly to the letter with our competitor, right? So I think that's the path to go in. Let's see what they do. But that would be my guess. I don't know that the leaked prices are real or not, right? They could be. But I would take that all with a grain of salt, because it's very common for people to go into their backend systems getting ready, because that announcement's coming in a month, right? So like, hey, let's get ready. Let's get our systems ready to go. And we're going to take the pre-orders the day it gets announced. I want my backend system ready to take that. So let's just copy paste whatever we have. So we're ready to go with the SKU that's needed for the next, whatever ROG is coming, right? So and in those cases, you literally just copy paste and like you put in whatever you have, and then you fix it later, right? You go in and fix it when you get the actual model numbers and all that stuff when the vendor is ready to give it to you. This is ASUS themselves doing it, right? So even they have probably got that same thing of like, hey, let's just put it in. We're ready to roll, and then we'll put the prices in when we finalize it. And they may not know what it is right now, right? Because the trade agreements are still happening, right? So from an EU perspective, maybe they're locked and they understand. But maybe they aren't, because they're like, what if, it's advantageous for us to manufacture this over here or ship it from over here, right? So we don't know what's going to happen. So they're like, let's just wait, right? And last minute, we'll put in the prices when we know exactly what we're going to have to do, and that's when it'll get finalized. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't think that is exactly sacrosanct. I'm just going to assume that was just copying, and they're literally the prices of the current boxes, right? So it's like, well, if that's exactly what it is, I don't know that Microsoft has actually had a chance to say, no, let's cut it back. And maybe they even target certain regions and say this price over here, this price over there. And that's very normal as well. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I'd be happy to see it at $900 US. I think that's a good price. But if they could push it down to $700 or $800, oh my God, that is a steal. And I know people aren't going to think that way, but you have to understand what you're getting for it. It's so crazy for that amount of kit. It's like 24 gigs of memory and then VRAM and then like, dude, it's a terabyte hard drive. It's a lot for what you're paying. It's a lot. $700 would be such a steal for that box.
This thing right here is this is the MSI Claw. It's the only device out that competes with Strix right now, right? And it didn't start out that way. It took many driver updates for people to go, oh my God, it's competing with Strix, right? It is considered the steal of all steals. Do you know how much it retails right now at Best Buy? $1,000 because Strix is $1,500.
Yeah, see what I mean? And when you look at that and you look at the kit and you're like, if you could get that to $700, oh my God, is that a good deal? No, it's not going to be a PS5 Pro in power, but what it offers you instead, it's just so crazy. So you have to just look at for what it's giving you. Why is $450 for a Switch 2? People thought that was a very expensive. I'm like, no, that's good for what they're giving you. That's not a bad price for what they're giving you. And so now you have to compare that, right? And you say, okay, well, yeah, for what they're going to give you, $700 is really, really good. 900 is good. 900 is a good price. But dude, if they could get it down to 700, oh my God, that is a good price. So we will see what they do. We will see what they do.
It's going to be very interesting. There's no doubt about that. I am, listen, I'm there day one. This is what I've been waiting for. If it runs and operates like it's being, positioned itself as to be basically an Xbox on the go, I'm in. Again, $1,000. I know, talking with Kay, now talking with you, even $900 is a steal. And based on how it was explained to me by Kay earlier this morning, yeah, it's definitely a steal. Again, this I know one of the biggest questions.
Couldn't help myself, and I got this.
You got it. You got one.
Cool. Couldn't help myself.
You know what? Why not? If you don't have one, that's why I didn't buy it, because I literally have one.
I don't have any MetaQuest. So
there you go. The MetaQuest, I love it. MetaQuest is great.
And you can use Airlink to connect it to your PC. You can use it to connect to your Xbox itself. Yep. So you can use cloud, but you can actually just use your Xbox. So you can play your games from your Xbox. You can play your games from your PC onto the VR headset. It's like, why not?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you don't have one, it's not bad. I'm just, folks, I just changed the footage because it was about to run out, so I just have to remove it from the studio. I haven't had a chance to actually make the videos to play in the backgrounds. I was literally playing off a memory stick. It looked actually pretty good. I didn't have to do any bells and whistle changes, but you know what, gentlemen, before we get to the next topic, and this one is, I want to come back to you, Hargeet, because I see a lot of people in the chat asking. When me and Fuzzy were talking about this on Monday's show, there were a lot of people asking. The main question or the main statement that I continue to see from the games community is, if this thing is $1,000 and it's a handheld, what is my next Xbox/PlayStation gonna cost? And that is something I kind of really, I think I'd love to have us just, even if we spend 10, 15 minutes on it, I think that Kay really hit a home run this morning when we were talking, when he said that, and it's not an insult, because I'm a console guy. I've always been a console guy. So if you ask me what's a good price for a console, I'm going to tell you $500. Most people would, right? Mm-hmm. Like when the Switch was coming out at $5 with the game, I'm like, well, I don't think that's actually bad. $5 is kind of what I expected anyway. You're getting Mario Kart World, you don't have to pay the $80. Okay, $500. $450 for the console itself, not bad. That's not going to be the case moving into what potentially could be as early as next year. Now, Colt Eastwood, which I don't have his video here, just did a video. He put it up this morning regarding a rumor, and I don't know whether he got this from Mag or he talked about it on the show. I haven't had a chance to catch up with XNC, that next year there are going to be OEM devices for a new Xbox. Not the actual Xbox, but one made potentially a home Xbox by ASUS. He mentioned Lenovo. He mentioned
Razer.
That's the other one he mentioned as well. So it's
tell the man, the great man, next time he wants to use my material, that is Xbox era article in 2024, he could at least, give me some credit, because I wrote that in June 2024. But that's neither here nor there. Let's keep it going. Okay. Yeah.
You have to no shade, no tea, as the kids like to say, right? There you go.
I mean my receipts are digital. They're right there with timestamps. Let's just go.
I love it. So, Hargeet, how do you answer this question? How do gamers prepare on both sides of the aisle? This isn't just going to be an Xbox thing. This is going to be a PlayStation thing. Now, granted, PlayStation, the rumor, or at least the last rumor that's been floating around, is PlayStation isn't going until 27. That's a long time away, man. Like I don't know if they're going
Is
to
it?
wait
I
that
thought
long.
the last thing I heard is it's even later than that.
Oh, see, there you go. Okay, so then it could be 28.
There was some talks about where they are with the PS6 and where they are with the mid-gen refresh, and they thought that they have years to go before they need to release the next one. So from that, the assumption was a 28 to 29 release. And that was recent. This was in the last few weeks. So I don't know. So anywhere between 27 to 29, right? I'm going to guess 28 is when they do it, but we'll see.
So, all right. Well, I mean, with all of that said, how do Xbox gamers prepare themselves for what could be $1,000 console, and understand that is what these consoles are going to cost? Why are these consoles going to cost $1,000? Is the best question to ask.
Well, is it going to cost $1,000 is the first question to ask. And I would say, I don't know that it will. Understand that when you're talking about the ROG Ally X Xbox, you're also looking at a screen, a battery, all that stuff.
Right.
Granted, to be fair, you have a controller to bundle in with the other one. The controller, however, doesn't cost as much as all these other components that they have to put in to make it into, and you have most of the controller components also embedded inside these, portable devices, right? So I don't think it's going to cost as much. I think they'll be able to scale that down even more because of the volumes. So, the $900 price point is possible. $800 is possible. Even $700 is possible, right? So the PS5 Pro gives us an indication of where that could go, because that's literally what they're doing. They're kind of just getting that high scale version of a higher performance APU and putting that into the box, right? So, they're skipping on things like a disk drive. I fully expect that's going to happen with the next Xbox as well. Don't expect a disk drive bundled in. If you want one, maybe they sell it as an accessory. So expect the same kind of thing. Yeah, it's likely in that same range, $700-800. That's a probable, price range for that. I think it's going to also be the same as what if Xbox puts out their own, that would be the same price. And I don't know if it happened at the same time or delayed, whatever that is. When they put their box out, it'll be in the same range. I think they're going to effectively compete at the same kind of price point and allow their competitors to offer things that maybe they don't, right? And that allows open market capabilities where, MSI could come out with hey, we have a 1.2 terabyte or a 1.5 terabyte versus 1 terabyte, or they have another whiz-bang feature that they want to throw in. Fair enough, right? So that's kind of where the differentiation comes in. But I would expect it to be in that range. I would say $700-800. I don't think it'll be 1,000, but it's gonna be more than what you're used to. And for people who are used to the $300 Switch, they suddenly took a 50% up in $450 and still bought the crap out of it. So it is what it is. I don't think it'll kill the market. So having it be in that range, I think is still okay. Look, your options are I stick with current gen, or I go to a PS6, which is likely going to be the same price, or I go to PC. And if you're going to go to PC, you're going to spend more. So now there are benefits for PC. I'm not going to deny that. Oh my God, the benefits of PC are fantastic. However, they're trying to bring a lot of those benefits to you on the next Xbox, right? So, if it's a good enough deal, it gives you almost all the cool benefits of PC, but also gives you a better price and consistent interface, easy to use, right? None of the weird, Windowsy annoyances that happen, right? So you have a very TV-friendly environment. Yeah, I think that's going to be a compelling thing, even at $700-800. It is what it is. Now, will they do multiple SKUs? They are, and they're not going to be from them. They're just going to be from other competitors, right? So you'll have an ASUS version or whatever version. Could they have a lower performance tier that's cheaper? Sure, that's always possible, and that's kind of the openness of the sort of open market, anybody can build it option. They can certainly have a lower tier thing that costs less. So we'll see what they do, right? But I think it's going to be in that range. I don't think it's going to be $500. That's probably gone, because even at that, they were losing money. I don't see that happening. So at least 6, but more likely 7 to 8. That'd be my guess. That PS5 Pro basically just set the standard. That is going to be the pricing.
That's a good point.
That'd be my thoughts. As far as the years, the stuff that Colt's talking about, I think that's probably realistic. 26, they do partner. Maybe they have their device ready, maybe they don't. One of the cool things that he was talking about is this allows them to kind of test the waters.
Yes.
And then, get to the point where they can release theirs. Fair enough. It's kind of a disadvantage to their competitive partners here, right? The cooperative partners, however you want to call it, even though they're competing, to give them the test bed instead of the fully baked thing. But, this is kind of the world they're in. That also offers them the option to start, getting their foothold into the console market in a big way. So whatever. I also think this is not a one and done 8-year generation thing. I think that's over too. I think Microsoft is going to leave it open, and you will have every year there'll be the new next, a cool thing, and you can decide when you want to jump in. Right. So maybe you stay on for 2 years, 3 years, 8 years, 10 years. It's just like PC. You can choose to go in whenever you want. Right. So if the next whiz bang version comes out and you're like, oh, I have to have it, you can go have it. Right. So if you're one of those is like, nah, I'm good enough, this thing still works, great, no problem.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be in a different world. The generations thing will just kind of die out. So
I mean, again, great points all around. Okay, Sant, I want to bring you in on Hargeet's point about 700 to 800 potentially being what the next Xbox is going to cost. And again, I am going to add Colt's video to the show notes. So if you want to watch it, take a look at it. It was a really good video. It's only 12. It's just a pinch under 13 minutes. So it was. I mean, Colt makes freaking great videos. He really does. And this one was another one. Breaking down the potential of OEM hardware next year is what he's suggesting. And that's pretty interesting. But for Xbox themselves, right, we know that next gen is coming. We know that there's already alluded to, thanks to Sarah Bond when she said consoles. I mean, there's multiple, at least two, based on her wording. One could be the Switch-like dock device that we've heard about, rumored. We know that we're getting the big boy underneath the TV, and it's rumored to be this everything box. Where do you sit with the 700 to 800? Could it be more?
Honestly, I'm right there along with Hargeet. I think that is your sweet spot. You are beyond subsidization. You want to see it. You want to see what a console looks like that is high performance. That's not subsidized. Look at the Switch 2. That's what you got, right? It looks great. It functions great. But if you really put it to the test, it is a few generations back because they have to make sure they extract some of their funds from that, right? They can't be bleeding from the stone and hoping that you'll give them the money back later. They need to make their at least break even today. So in order to keep console prices still relatively normal, that means you won't get wild next gen hardware. But that could be okay too, because we're kind of already in the land of min spec anyway, right? Like we're no longer in a world where I foresee where you'll have new bespoke hardware that sets a new benchmark that you just go, wow, I've never seen graphics this amazing before. They're all in line with PC, right? So as long as they are able to calibrate the way they do the way they R&D to the point where it always ends up around the high end being $800 and the low end being about $400 to $500, that's great, right? That continues in the line of what they've already trained their consumer. Now, Boom, I was saying this to you before, and I will contend this, and this is not just Microsoft's problem. Any console maker that has been subsidizing their consoles for as long as they have been teaching the wrong lesson to the consumer, right? You don't know what value equals with the speeds and feeds you have, but as long as every time you see one, it's being subsidized by some corporation, now all of a sudden you think that hardware is worth what that sticker price is, when it's not. Realistically, it's probably worth $200-300 more. They're just eating that cost on your behalf in the hopes that you'll play their games, right? But in a world where that closed ecosystem is no longer that closed, because now you can play other app store games. Now you can't have that anymore, right? You only have the choice of either you get your choice of app stores, but now you're paying the real price for the device, or you're in the lockdown world. So I honestly think that the side effect of it may lead to a place where you may not get as bleeding edge technology as you would otherwise, but it won't be really noticeable. And realistically, I would contend that even in the next gen and the gens after, if and when you get a console, and I too believe you will get a console, it will be around that $700 to $800 price point for the high end.